There seems to be a common misconception about one of the greatest natural wonders of the world, the Great Barrier Reef. You might have heard that it is dead or dying, but travel host Tabitha Lipkin traveled to Cairns, Australia to get a better understanding of what exactly that means. Take a look.
You're seeing the largest natural formation on the planet. This is the Great Barrier Reef, and I spent 3 days diving at 11 different locations to explore it for myself. After all, I was under the impression that it was dead, but bleaching and dead are not synonymous.
I can certainly tell you from my observation that we are very fortunate up in this area of the reef that we have not experienced much bleaching. Even when bleaching does occur, when those mass bleaching events happen that get the headlines and you get these sort of very simplistic black and white lines that say everything's dead or everything's fine, because that's what's of course going to catch people's attention. Even when bleaching events do happen, it doesn't mean that the coral is dead, it's over, pack it up and go home.
The word bleaching can be a little confusing for people because it sounds like something permanent. You know, if the curtains fade, they're permanently changed. But the corals bleach when the temperatures are too high for the zooxanthellae, but they recover also. So what we've seen in the last few years is actually the highest coral cover in the 32 years that we've been recording coral cover on the Great Barrier Reef.
According to the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, the Barrier Reef is experiencing its 5th mass coral bleaching event in the last decade, affecting about 75% of the reef marine park. But the reefs are still very much so alive, with millions of life forms calling the reef home. The true reef system scale is hard to imagine at over 1,400 miles long and over 900 individual reefs. A quarter of the individual reefs surveyed, by the way, recorded no to low levels of bleaching. And if you don't exactly know what a coral is that makes up the reef,
coral, well, it is a very interesting thing. So I think of coral as a mixture of 3 things. So it's an animal, it's a mineral, and it's a plant.
Corals get most of their bright colors from microscopic algae that grows inside the polyp's tissues. This algae, called zooxanthellae, is expelled when the coral is experiencing stressing events like warming water temperatures. And once it leaves, it looks as if the corals are dead, but they're not.
The sea temperatures are warming and that is impacting on reefs, but they're also bouncing back.
Of course, when you think of Cairns, you're going to be thinking about the Great Barrier Reef. But this area also has another special attraction. You can actually see it right over my shoulder. This is where the rainforest meets the reef.
The reef and the rainforest are not only neighbours, they are related. They're connected to each other. So the mangrove systems that connect the rainforest and the reef are actually the breeding ground for the fish, and it's how we clean our salt and fresh water.
While you probably knew that the reef was a World Heritage Site, did you know that the rainforest in the area is too? And your visit to where the rainforest meets the reef can have a positive impact on the area, because you can't protect what you don't know.
The most important thing to say is that tourism is one of the greatest contributors to conservation. And I think for a lot of people around the world, conservation has always meant if we took humans out, then everything would get better. But in today's world, there's an acceptance and, in fact, an embracing of the idea that humans have one of the most important roles to play.
One of the most toxic things that us as humanity can be doing is saying, oh, well, it's all too late. But I feel like there are so many changes that we can make, even our everyday lives, to kind of do better for the planet.
So the next time you read a headline or hear about the bleaching of the Great Barrier Reef, know that it's not dead. It's very much so alive, and there's still time to have a positive impact on the area.
Just the Great Barrier Reef is definitely not dead. The answer is so much more complicated, and there is so much incredible diving to be done. So come and hang out with us, and we'll see you in the future.